These are the happenings in your community. Thank you for joining this edition of Community Comment on 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge, presented by Professional Floor Covering.
It is 95.3 WBEV, and welcome to Community Comment. And Community Comment is presented by Professional Floor Covering and Abbey Design Center at 713 Park Avenue in Beaver Dam. You can visit their website, proflr.com. And before we get to the action here, rolling with Justin Wilski, I wanted to talk about the countertop options over at Professional Floor Covering. If you are planning a kitchen or bathroom update, don't overlook the countertops. The material, color, and pattern can completely change the look and feel of your space. At Professional Floor Covering and Abbey Design Center in Beaver Dam, Randy and his team offer a large selection of quartz, granite, marble, and laminate countertops. They'll help you find the perfect fit with your lifestyle, your design, and your budget. Visit Professional Floor Covering at 713 Park Avenue in Beaver Dam or online at proflr.com. And now, without further ado, we send it down to the Daily Dodge TV studios with Justin Wilski for today's Community Comment.
Thank you, Jake, and we do welcome everybody into today's Community Comment. Today we are sitting down with Dana Borland, the Executive Director with the Moraine Park Foundation. Good morning, Dana. How are you today?
Good morning. I'm doing very well.
It's your first time being on with us on the radio and your first time being on the Daily Dodge Television studios. Hopefully you're not nervous.
I'm a little nervous.
Yes. Well, we're going to have a lot of fun.
But you have assured me that we're going to get through this.
Oh, we definitely will.
So I'm trusting you.
Well, and you've got a great topic we're going to be talking about today, which is the Moraine Park Foundation. Of course, linked to Moraine Park Technical College, which we know in the area, multiple locations throughout the area, and we want to dive into that. But we're here to talk initially to start with because you guys are celebrating kind of a big milestone with the Moraine Park Foundation.
Yes, we are. We're celebrating 50 years this year. So we were established in February of 1976, and two individuals were very responsible for establishing the foundation, and that was Gib Zaratsky out of the Green Lake area, and then George St. Peter, who was an attorney in Fond du Lac, and Gib Zaratsky was actually the CEO of National Rivet in Waupun.
Oh, okay.
And so they really felt that education needed to be affordable for all students, regardless of their financial situation. So they started the foundation in 1976 really for the purpose of raising money for scholarships.
That's a great purpose to raise money for, absolutely. Having several kids who have graduated high school, I know how important those scholarships can be. The foundation obviously has grown since then. Do you know roughly how many students get impacted by the foundation or have been impacted by the foundation?
Well, in 1980, that's when we awarded our first scholarships.
Okay.
That was 6 students got $1,500. So now let's fast forward to 25-26, and we awarded $487,000 to 424 students. So we have really grown over the last 50 years.
Yeah, absolutely. How did you get started with the foundation?
Well, I am a first-generation college student.
Okay.
So no one in my family had gone to college. I attended Ripon College. My father worked there, so I did get a discount on my tuition. And after I graduated, I just was able to see how my career was different from my family members who didn't go to college. And really, I could never have done it without scholarship support and without student loans. And so I just have always been so passionate about higher education and just how it uplifts individuals and families. And so that's how I became involved. I'm very passionate about higher education, and I really love technical college education because it's so valued by communities, and those skills are so needed by our businesses to help them to thrive.
Well, and I can tell from looking at you that you're definitely young enough. You have not been with them the full 50 years.
No.
Obviously.
Thank you.
So how long have you been a part
It's
of the
my
team?
beauty pills.
I need to get me some of those. How long have you been with the foundation?
So I've been with the foundation since 2013.
Okay, so it's been a pretty good span for you.
Yes.
So a little bit of an anniversary for you then, 13 years in, not too bad.
Yeah.
And that's absolutely phenomenal. Before we go too much further, we do have to take a quick break here. Before we dive into that break, I always like to throw out that initial contact information. So if people want to find out a little bit more about the foundation, maybe they're listening, but they can't stay on for the whole show, and they just want to know where they can go to learn more. Where should we send people?
So they should go to morainepark.edu/foundation. And there's all kinds of information on there about if they want to support the foundation, some of the impact that we've had, and if they have any questions, my contact information is right on the website.
There you go. We're talking with Dana Borland, the Executive Director of the Moraine Park Foundation. We'll continue to talk to her after the break here on 95.3 WBEV.
Providing this community beautiful floors and so much more, the team at Professional Floor Covering can't wait to connect with our friends through today's community comment on 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
And back with more community comment in the Daily Dodge TV studios. Here's Justin Wilski.
Thank you, Jake. And again, welcome back into Community Comment. Justin the Ninja Wilski here sitting down with Dana Borland, the Executive Director of the Moraine Park Foundation. I always love doing this show because we have great conversations during the break. And before the break, we had learned that the foundation started off in 1980 doing their first award to 6 students. Then, in 2026, you said 424 students.
Yes.
Massive increase.
Yes.
And then you gave me a number as we were in the break, and you said, actually, we've given this much overall since we started, and it blew my mind. Share that with everybody.
So since 1976, when we were founded, we actually gave over $5 million in scholarships over our 50 years.
And that's a huge impact. I mean, the cost of education obviously has been going up. And, you know, for a while, the concept of going to like tech schools and things has always been kind of a, you know, is it as good as a 4-year degree? Is it as good as a standard degree, you know, elsewhere, whatever? But now there's a rise in popularity to that. I imagine you're seeing a lot more applicants coming in.
We are. In fact, this year we had a record number of 504 applications. Wow. That is the highest in the history of the foundation, which I think really tells us that students need that support with the higher cost of groceries, with the higher cost of gas. And so it's a privilege to be able to help them out in that way.
That is really awesome. Do you happen to know how many students have been impacted over the course with that over $5 million?
I really don't, but this is how I do the math.
Right.
I divide the $5 million by an approximate $500 scholarship, and that's 10,000 students.
That is phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. I don't know if you have this information offhand or not, but do you know how many students are enrolled at Moraine Park now, or on average?
Program students, it's around 2,000.
Okay.
And program students are those students who are getting a degree, such as a technical diploma or an associate degree.
There you go. I love it. We were talking a little bit during the break, and I want to bring this up here about how the foundation is not just about those scholarships for helping to pay for the courses, but obviously for students, there are other things that could come up as a cost. For instance, you know, the textbooks that have to be gotten. I remember when I went to college, they went, hey, by the way, you paid for college. Now here's a list of books you need. And I started pricing these books, and I'm like, why are they $150, $200 a piece sometimes? You guys help with that a little bit.
We do. And you know, 41% of our students are economically disadvantaged. So what that means is they have challenges meeting just day-to-day needs such as food, shelter, and housing or clothing. And so what we do is we offer student emergency fund grants up to $500. So if a student is living paycheck to paycheck and their alternator goes on their car, then they're in trouble and they can't get to classes, they can't get to clinicals. And so we provide that support. We also support them with textbook grants. And like you said, a textbook can be $200, and that can be a big surprise for students who are trying to afford their education. So they apply for grants, and then I would say we award about $10,000 a year in textbook grants too.
That is absolutely amazing. I know for me, I understand that, especially for technical things, those books are getting updated on the regular. Obviously, new information is always coming out, and so they get reprinted, and that cost gets handed down to the students, and that's always an eye-opening cost right there.
And for students too that receive these, data has shown that we actually retain the students at a very high rate by providing this support to them. And so they continue then on from their fall to spring semester, and they don't drop out.
Well, there you go. That's amazing. And I know you and I have talked a little bit about how obviously your expertise is on the foundation side of things. I think your phrasing was, you know, enough about the college itself to be dangerous, which is always good. But are you seeing a level of appreciation from the students because of having this option available to them?
I think we are. We invite the students every year to come to a scholarship appreciation luncheon, and we invite our donors to actually meet the students who have received their scholarship. In my work, that is one of the most magical things that happens in the foundation, and the donors really appreciate hearing the students or the stories of the students who have received their support.
And that's really awesome. So going back to what we talked about before, so obviously morainepark.edu/foundation. If people go there, they can go there not just to look into how to apply, but they can become a donor by going through there.
Yes.
And I'm assuming, I mean, is there a donation too small? I mean,
There's not. There's no donation too small. All small donations add up. And Our scholarships at $500 can cover 3 credits of tuition, and that's a class. And
There you
so
go.
it's really, there is no donation that's too small.
That is absolutely amazing. We had talked a little bit, and I want to touch on this now, that there are some, obviously there's a board for the foundation.
Yes.
Every foundation has one, and they kind of help make those decisions on awarding those scholarships and everything else. And you had said there's actually 2 Beaver Dam locals who are on the board.
We have a 12-member board, and we try to recruit members from all 3 of our communities,
Right.
which is Beaver Dam, Fond du Lac, and West Bend. And so we have Richard Zeman.
Oh, there we go.
Yep, on our board, and then we also have Pam Korth, who is the Director of Human Resources at Apache Stainless.
All right. I was going to say, Pam probably knows my family well because I've had 2 family members who have both worked at and retired from Apache.
Oh, okay.
So I'm sure she knows my family well over there. And that's absolutely awesome because I am willing to bet, specifically thinking about Apache, that they're one of the multiple local businesses that work with you guys.
They are. They hire our graduates, as does Michaels Corporation, Alliant Energy, Apache, Generac, Marshfield, SSM Health, Kraft Heinz, Whisker. These are just a few of the companies that hire our graduates.
There you go. I've toured a few of these facilities. Whisker, the most recent one, so pretty good facility over there. And I mean, that's awesome because that allows these people to go to school in the community that they live in.
Yes.
And potentially work then in the community they live in. Because I know, at least for myself, it was a bit scary traveling to a different part of the country for school and then career and everything else.
Yes.
Glad to be back now, that's for sure. We want to dive into a few more topics, including a discussion about a capital campaign you guys have going on. And we're going to do that when we come back from our break here. Before we dive into that, I want to just real quick kind of relay to everybody again. The foundation, if they want to find out more information, morainepark.edu/foundation. They can check that out. If they're looking for information on classes and attending the school, that would just be the morainepark.edu.
Correct.
So you got it all on one site, makes it really, really easy to search for. That's also where they can find contact information for yourself. As the executive director there, what is your specific role? Are you just facilitating those apps up to the board? Like, what are you doing?
So our mission is actually, we partner with joyful givers who believe in the power of education to transform individuals, families, and communities.
I like that. It should be on a
Yes.
bumper sticker.
Thank you. And so that's what I do. I really focus on establishing relationships with people who want to make an impact, and they want to make an impact through education. We have 3 staff members. One is a development officer that also does fundraising, and then one is an administrative assistant who I say is the most valuable person in our office.
They usually are.
Yeah, she keeps us organized. And so that really is what we do. I'm responsible for all the finances of the foundation and our tax reporting and those types of things too. But it's a joy to work there just because the people who give are so generous and they want to make an impact and they want to make a difference. And how can you go wrong hearing their stories on why they want to do this?
I have to imagine there's a number of people who maybe were a beneficiary of the foundation who go through, finish their schooling, get a job, and then come back and say, I want to give back to this.
There are.
That's
There
got to feel
are.
really good.
Yes, that is.
And with you being with them for 13 years, I'm sure you've seen a few of these.
I have. Yeah, there are quite a few alumni. We have a President's Circle Giving Society, and there's several former CEOs of companies who are alumni of Moraine Park. And they give, they come to the recognition event, they hear about the update of the college, and we usually have a student speaker. And they just keep giving over and over because as alumni, they benefited from their education and they got to where they were because of the skills that they received when they were students.
I would love to just eventually scan the list of people since 1980 who've benefited from this and just see how many prominent names we'd recognize from within the community.
Yes.
That is absolutely awesome. Again, we're sitting down with Dana Borland. She is the executive director for the Moraine Park Foundation, and we're going to continue our conversation with her on Community Comment here coming up next on 95.3 WBEV.
formed on the Dodge County landscape, we keep the inside of your home looking great. Professional Floor Covering welcomes you to the next segment of Community Comment on 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
And welcome back to Community Comment presented by Professional Floor Covering on 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge. With more in the Daily Dodge TV studios, here's Justin Wilski.
And welcome back into Community Comment again, sitting down with Dana Borland, the Executive Director of Moraine Park Foundation. Dana, we want to talk a little bit about this capital campaign you guys have going on, because obviously foundations need to raise money. They need to have more money go into the fund, or else it makes it very difficult to pay money out. And there's always, needs and things that come up. You guys actually have a capital campaign that is in place you're working on right now.
We do. So right now we have a $750,000 campaign, and this is for equipment for the Health and Human Services Edition on the Fond du Lac campus. So in 2022, the taxpayers passed a $55 million referendum for Moraine Park. That was really to build buildings, including our Horicon Regional Center for emergency and fire. But in order to not have the tax, burden on the taxpayers be so high, we decided not to put equipment into that referendum. So the foundation then has been spearheading these capital campaigns since the passing of that referendum. So what we've done so far is we've raised $2.7 million. That was started in 2023. That built the Automation, Innovation, and Robotics Center on the Fond du Lac campus.
Which I've seen. That
It's
is a
beautiful.
phenomenal.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then we raised almost $2 million in equipment for the West Bend Advanced Manufacturing Center. And then this is our next referendum equipment campaign.
There you go. How long's the capital campaign been running for you
So
guys?
it's been running since last year.
Okay.
That space will actually open up for our learners in August, so just a few weeks away. And we're going to be running that campaign until the end of 2026.
Okay.
And of the $750,000, we've raised about $560,000.
That was going to be my next question. I'm glad you had that information handy. So obviously there's still some money to bring in there. How do people contribute to this if they so desire?
So they can go on moraine.park.edu/foundation. They can look up my contact information, call me. I'll give them a lovely tour of the space.
There you go.
If businesses want to give to the campaign, then they will have naming rights where they can put their logo and a message about their organization right there in the space where the learners pass by every single day.
Well, that's really awesome, especially if it's anybody whose business happens to have anything to do with the Health and Human Services Division. Let people know where they could go get hired and get a job.
Exactly.
Obviously, we've seen that. You mentioned the facility up in Fond du Lac, facility in West Bend. I'm imagining we got a lot of input and dollars from the businesses who are benefiting from that as well.
That is correct, yes. Mercury Marine was a great donor for the Air Center in Fond du Lac, as was the Fond du Lac County,
Right.
the Joe and Dawn Colwyn Foundation, the Giddings and Lewis Foundation,
Yeah.
and then in West Bend, several of the organizations or the companies that benefit from those because those were both manufacturing campaigns, then contributed to that as well. Milwaukee Tool was one of them, and various other ones.
Yeah, and for people who aren't aware, the Dodge County region, actually South Central Wisconsin, really is a massive manufacturing hub in the state. So I'm sure we see a lot of individuals coming in for those programs and making their way through. I know on my capacity working for the news team here, have reported on graduates coming out of MPTC on a regular basis, which is always absolutely wonderful. I do want to take a moment to start diving into a little bit some of the numbers, because I'm a numbers guy and a lot of people out there are numbers people, and they want to know like, okay, so what impact is this actually having?
Okay.
You know, if we're putting money into the foundation's putting money into these kids, is it money well spent? What's the return on that investment?
Well, you know, it's really interesting because the GPA for students that receive scholarships is 3.43 compared to 3.11 for students who don't receive scholarships. And the retention rate from the fall to spring semester is 95% for students who receive scholarships compared to 80% for students who don't. So these students are achieving academically and they're actually staying enrolled. And then another thing that I think is very interesting about our students and how they differ from that traditional 18 to 22-year-old is that our median age of our student is 24 years old. So they may already have a family, they may be taking care of their aging parents. We have 80% of our students are working while going to school, either part-time or full-time. So they have jobs. And 75% of our students do only attend college part-time, which means that they're employed. They might be looking to upskill so that they can experience an increase in their wages.
Right.
And so it's a little bit different than kind of where's the next beer party kind of thing, which was my college experience.
You and me both.
And then, like I said, and then 41% of them are economically disadvantaged.
Those are some incredible numbers. I'm, I guess, initially blown away, and then I think maybe not surprised by the retention numbers when I think about the number of people, even when I went to college, who, after they got through the first semester, second semester, they dropped out because the finances weren't there. It wasn't a desire, it wasn't a lack of grades, it was just they couldn't afford to keep going. And I feel like that's probably attributes to that 15% difference that we're seeing there heavily. You mentioned the average age being 24, which then led me to think, is there an age range that is only acceptable? Or if I'm, let's say, 37-year-old mom who wants to get back into the workforce, am I still able to take advantage of what the foundation does?
Absolutely. Any student that is enrolled in any kind of a degree granting program can apply for a scholarship. We have one scholarship that was started by one of our instructors in his parents' name because his dad went back to school at 62 years old.
That is awesome.
Yes.
That is absolutely awesome. I know oftentimes technical schools seem to be the route for those older learners. It's just more accessible and a little more flexible, especially as you showed with your numbers there, if they happen to be maintaining a job or have other responsibilities.
And also, too, some of our students right out of high school, they don't know what they want to do.
Right.
And so they just enter the workforce and maybe get a minimum wage job or something a little bit above that. And then after a few years, they're thinking, I really would like to buy that home or buy that new car, and I really can't afford it. And they see education as a pathway to basically a better life. And then they come and they enroll for classes.
I was going to say, I know plenty of people that I went to high school with who said, nope, I'm just going to work on the family farm and eventually take it over, whatever. And then you talk to them, 3, 4, 5 years later, and it's, nope, I'm actually taking courses now, and this is what I'm doing because, family farm's not going to work for me. Or it's, no, I'm taking courses now to help with making the family farm work better.
Yes.
So sometimes you just need a reason to get that education.
Right. And it's nice then because they bring that experience into the classroom, and I think it makes it a richer learning environment.
Yeah. I am getting the vibe from you that that this whole process for the students, be it fresh out of high school or people, older adults looking to return to education, it sounds like it's a very stress-free kind of system you guys have in place.
It is. So our application goes live on February 1st. It takes approximately 30 minutes to fill out the application. And last year, every one of our students received a $1,000 scholarship. So for 30 minutes to get $1,000 and not have to pay that back in student loans, I think is worth their time.
Absolutely. And I know I've seen firsthand, students stressing over trying to get scholarships and stressing the applications and the process and just being blown away. And I've heard about scholarship applications that require, massively long essays, like it's a college paper. Is that what they're going to see from the foundation?
They are not. Nope. They have to answer 3 questions. What program do you want to go into? Why did you choose it? And what do you want to do with your education?
Well, there you go.
Yeah, very simple.
Those are questions they should be asking themselves if they're thinking
Absolutely,
about going to
for
the school
sure.
anyways. That is absolutely phenomenal. We do have to take another break, so we're going to go ahead and do that. When we come back from that break, we're going to kind of summarize, wrap up a little bit, and then you've got a little bit of a story you want to share with us as we end out. So that's a little teaser for all of you out there on the radio and watching on Daily Dodge TV. I'm also going to remind you, if you can't make it back for that segment but you want more information, morainepark.edu/foundation. Check them out for more information. We'll be right back with more of Community Comment on 95.3 WBEV.
providing this community beautiful floors and so much more, the team at Professional Floor Covering can't wait to connect with our friends through today's community comment on 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
And back with the last segment for today's community comment on 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge. Here's Justin Wilson.
Thank you, Jake, and welcoming everybody to our final segment here on Community Comment. Again, sitting down with Dana Borland, the Executive Director of the Moraine Park Foundation. And we've talked about a lot of information today. We talked about, obviously, the history of the foundation, 50 years celebrating this year, which is massive. We've talked about the huge number of students and the financial impact that has been made by the foundation. Over $5 million since its inception and its first awarding of a scholarship, which is absolutely brilliant. We've talked about the ease of applying for these scholarships, which is phenomenal. Getting to throw out morainepark.edu/foundation. I want to dive a little bit more into the impact. Now, obviously, you don't just meet these candidates, these scholarship recipients, in the form of seeing their name on paper. Like, you have to interact with them on occasion, right? Mm-hmm. You've met some of them. Mm-hmm. What kind of a feedback do you get from them when they talk to you?
You know, there are ones that stand out. And one of them that stands out to me is a student who is now employed by Moraine Park in our culinary program. And he grew up in poverty. And we raised money for a Promise program, which was a program that was earmarked for low to middle income students. Mm-hmm. And he applied, he got a scholarship. He then did chef, cooking and that at different restaurants. And he liked it, and it was okay. Right. But then a position came back at Moraine Park where he could work in the culinary department and teach classes. Oh. And he is one of the best testimonials for our scholarships because he's now earning more, but he's absolutely doing something that he loves. That's
phenomenal. And he can then share that thing that he loves with other people in the program.
He can. Mm-hmm.
I know firsthand from going to school myself that you can always tell the instructors who they're teaching a course, but maybe they don't believe in the course anymore. They don't believe in that path anymore. But it's a job, it's a paycheck, whatever. I always say that I want my educators, ironically enough, my kitchen staff, and anybody who's making anything artistic. I want them to be passionate about what they do. Because you always get the best end product. So for him, I would say he gets to be an artist with his cooking.
Absolutely.
As well as gets to be a chef and gets to be an educator, and that is phenomenal. You actually have something I'd love for you to share, and then we'll talk about it here afterwards. But you actually have where one of the recipients sent you a letter of some sort?
Well, actually, in April, we had a 50th anniversary gala. Okay. And we invited this student to be our student speaker. Okay. And she gave this speech at that event, and she got a standing ovation. It was so moving. And so it was a rather long speech, so I did condense it down, and I would just love to be able to share this with the audience because this is personal and real.
Yeah, by all means, go right ahead.
So I'll just read this to you then. It says, "My name is Alexandra Scola, and I'm currently enrolled in the Software Developer Associate of Science program at Moraine Park Technical College. Like many students, my path wasn't exactly linear. I grew up in Wisconsin, moving around quite a bit. After high school, I started college, but ended up stepping away and entering the workforce. Life moved forward. I built a career, got married, and my husband and I eventually bought our first fixer-upper back in our hometown. We now have a young son who has just turned 4, and like many families, we were focused on stability and providing for him now and in the future. But over time, I started to feel like something was missing. I wanted more of a challenge. I wanted a career that was future-focused, something meaningful. That's what led me to Software Developer Program. But as many of you know, deciding to go back to school as an adult, especially with a family, isn't just an academic decision, it's a financial one. When I started this program, I had to leave my full-time job. At the same time, we had just purchased our fixer-upper in a very challenging housing market. And during my first year in school, I was surprised with a $36,000 back surgery. It was overwhelming. There was a very real moment when I had to ask myself if continuing my education was even possible, or if I would have to step away and return to work just to keep up. That's where the scholarships came in, and they changed everything. When I accepted my scholarship, I was very aware that this is someone else's hard-earned money. Someone made the decision to believe in me and to invest in me. Knowing that someone believes in you like that, it changes the way you see yourself, and it changes the way you approach your goals. My goal is to build a career in software, but beyond that, this journey is about my family. It's about creating stability. It's about showing my son what's possible when you take a risk. It's about building a future where opportunities are greater, not just for me, but for the people I love. Scholarship support doesn't just impact students in the classroom, it impacts entire families. And that ripple effect, that's something truly powerful. Thank you for investing in students you may never know, but who will carry your belief within them for the rest of their lives.
That is, I can see why she got a standing
Yes,
ovation for
yes.
that. I just quickly jotted down some points that she made that I think are absolutely beautiful. One, it's a meaningful journey for these students to be going through. Obviously, for anybody, whether that be fresh out of high school or an adult who's already got a few years of life under their belt, this is, it's a decision, it's a choice to make. And it's a dedication thing that they're going to have to do. And so in order for, as she said, for people to invest in them through the scholarship program, they do have to kind of believe in themselves.
They do.
And they also got to have people out there who do believe in them. Obviously, the people who give to the foundation have that belief that it's going to be divvied out well, and that those people are going to take that money and do good and big things. It really is an investment in the future. I imagine this has got to be a very fulfilling job for you.
It is very fulfilling. Yes.
That is amazing.
Yes. And, we give the scholarships, but the student still has to do the hard work.
Right.
And Alex is making sacrifices to go to classes, is less time with her son, less time with her family, but she sees a long-term goal and a better future, and so she's going after it, and it's just so rewarding to watch that happen.
That is amazing. I want to talk a little bit about, briefly, we got a little bit of time left here, the programs that are included. I think you said earlier, if it's a degreed program, it's eligible potentially for a scholarship.
Yes.
And do you know how many different degreed programs Moraine Park has?
We have 100.
100, okay. I was hoping you'd have that answer. That is awesome. So there's a good chance if people are looking on morainepark.edu, they're going to see a program that might suit the interests they have, be it fresh out of high school or, again, an adult learner looking to return and get back into education. And so there is a pretty good chance the foundation can give them a little bit of a boost, a leg up when they go back.
Absolutely there is, yes.
That is absolutely awesome. Unfortunately, we've reached the end of our show today.
Okay, thank you, Justin. You made it so easy. I do appreciate it. I was nervous, and this was very enjoyable.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. I hope we can have you on again in the future. Maybe when we celebrate the next, major milestone, or maybe when you guys hit your big number for your capital campaign.
Okay, sounds good.
Always a possibility there. I'm going to throw out that information again. If you want to reach out to Dana Borland and her team there, you can do so by going to morainepark.edu/foundation and reach out to them there, and they'll be more than happy to get you in contact, whether you want to invest in the future of the community or if you wish to be a scholarship recipient yourself. Dana, you have a great day. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
That'll do it for today's Community Comment.